Hi, I'm Ankur Tewari and I'm answering a few of your questions through the Red Sparrow. You get bored of your own songs while composing them, while singing them? No, not at all. In fact, they are part of your life. They're like milestones of your life. So you kind of feel happy revisiting them. While writing it, you're obsessed by it because that's what's running through your mind all throughout. There's some of my songs that are almost 15 years old, and I still love singing them because it's like going through an old photo album. You feel nice. The Bombay film industry does play a big role in bringing your music to the mainstream. That's the mainstream. So yes, quite practical actually, because there's so much money that's involved in making of these films, promoting these films. It just gets through a larger audience. Working on a soundtrack is quite intense and nice. It's like writing a book. You're telling a story. You are going through the flow of how you're expressing those songs. What are you saying in them? In fact, sometimes when you're putting the order of songs, you have a kind of a story in your head of which song should go first, which song should go second. You are, after all, telling a story. So the process is you collect a bunch of songs that all thematically come together, and then you find a way to tell that so people can relate to it easily. Gully Boy was quite an amazing experience, mainly because it was not the genre of music that I make. So the one most important thing that I did was to listen to a lot of music that I had not heard before, meet a lot of people, artists. Most of the music in the album already existed. They existed as demos or scratches or notes or scribbles. For me, workshopping with the artists, spending time with them, listening to them, and kind of enhancing what they want to express and kind of making it meet with the screenplay, it was quite an interesting and different experience for me. Making music is something that I did right through school and through college. I was writing songs, I was singing songs, but pretty much when I was finishing college, I should make music my career. I can pretend that it was a very well thought of decision, but it was pretty much following my gut and my instinct. And I did that somehow, not knowing what world am I entering into. And a high point in my career was the release of Sabse Piche Hum Khade. It was a song that I had written just casually. I used to sing it to my friends, and then I ended up making a movie with my friend Sid, where we ended up putting the song in the movie. And then Silk Route said yes, they want to sing that song. It kind of opened a lot of doors, and it was funny because once I was passing through a hostel in a university, and I heard somebody sing that song without me being there, and it felt really good. As far as guitar pedals go, I don't use many guitar pedals. I have a tuner and I have a compressor. I am very fortunate to be endorsed by Gibson, so they have given me these beautiful guitars, and I love the acoustic raw sound of those guitars anyway. Sometimes I do use a little bit of compression to just make sure it doesn't peak, but more or less I wish I was using more pedals. I don't know anything much about tech. Wo Hum Nahi came very organically. I saw this footage about goons entering the JNU hostel, students being beaten up. I have grown up all my life in a university, in a campus, and it really kind of cut through my soul when I saw students being beaten up brutally by goons. I mean, it was really, it moved me a lot. And the words just came. I was backstage for a gig, and I was going to go on stage. I think it was 5-10 minutes. I started doodling these words in my mind, and these chords, I started playing the chords, and I went on stage, played the gig. When I came back, the song was there, and I just like scribbled it down, came back home, switched my camera on just like I've done right now, and I played the song. Probably a couple of hours that the song Somewhere from the Universe came out. As far as the social responsibility of an artist, not just an artist, it's a social responsibility of everyone to be aware of politics, to be aware of what's happening around you, to be vocal, to express yourself, and wherever you feel you do not agree with certain things, you must speak up for that, because sitting on the fence doesn't solve anything. And sometimes you may be wrong, sometimes you may be right, but you must participate actively in discussions about the political and social climate around you. So music supervisor in India is slightly different role than what it is overseas, because in India we use music quite differently from how people use music outside India. But more or less, music supervisor should have a good sense of the screenplay and try and see how they can use music when it comes to songs or score, and try and enhance the story and get the main feeling of the story out, or the scene out, better. It involves a mix of what one does with production design and art direction and casting. So you kind of making a sonic palette for the film. You are casting for songs or music pieces to come into the film, and trying to make the film sound interesting and nice. I personally like telling stories and finding different mediums to tell those stories. Sometimes it could be a song, sometimes it could be a poem, sometimes it could be a screenplay, a scribble, a kissa, or a film. So I enjoy everything. I enjoy all the mediums. Depends on the story, and I let the story find the medium. I often get a lot of emails, phone calls, and people meet me for advice of what to do if they want to record the songs, or what should one do if they want to sing playback. The only advice I usually end up giving is there is no right advice, because there is no one way to do things. It's depending on so many variables around you and so many things that are happening around you. The one thing I would say is listen to everyone, but eventually follow your gut, because that's kind of what I did. So mixing and mastering tips, probably the worst person in the world to give you tips on that. But I don't produce my music. I work with interesting producers who produce the sound. I definitely believe in doing the car test after listening to the songs and the demos in the car, or 4 or 5 systems after recording it, and then working with people who can give you those tips. So there is Gaurav Gupta in my band, who's amazing. There's Sid Kuto in my band, who's amazing. Recently I worked with Rohan Ramanna. There are guys who are pro in that job, and they probably will give you better tips on that. Being approachable is something, it's relative. There have been times that I'm not so approachable. There have been times when I feel that I'm approachable. It totally depends on your mind space, your what you're going through, what's happening to you in your life. And I feel it's not a celeb thing, it's just a normal person thing. One must preserve their mind space and their space as much as they can. If you feel that somebody's intruding in it, then you must not allow it. But if you feel that you have the space and you have the bandwidth to meet with people and talk to people, you must, because that also is kind of a pool that gives you ideas and stories, and meeting people is always an exciting thing to do. This great playwright Vijay Tendulkar had once said that if you have to be a good storyteller, then you must meet probably one stranger a day. There probably is no way that you can find out whether you're just passionate about music or you like singing so much that you want to follow it like a profession. I mean, for any artist, in India at least, all art is usually seen as extracurricular. So it doesn't make much practical sense to be an artist. But there is a level of obsession and madness when it comes to art and your music, where you can't like think about anything else. It's like kind of falling in love, where you just like obsessed with it. You just like thinking about your craft and your art all day. When you're thinking about your music all day, you're dreaming about it. Yeah, and I think that's when you might just take it up professionally. I wouldn't necessarily define this era as an era which is a remix era. Firstly, I don't like that word remix. It's recreations of songs, and that can be done in a good way or a bad way. And I think it's a good idea to recreate songs, not at the cost of not creating original music. The reason behind recreation is very important. Sometimes reasons are purely commercial, because you don't want to compose something new and you just the music label just pulls something out of the catalog and just puts a funky beat under it and expects it to blow up because it was popular earlier. I mean, that approach I'm kind of against. But if you want to recreate a song, you can recreate a song and make it beautiful, and it kind of gives a new life to a song. It exposes it to a new generation that might not have heard the earlier song. So if you recreate it nicely, it's not a bad idea. The role of the music supervisor is an emerging role in the Bombay film industry. It's neither a necessity or a luxury. I feel it's an option, a choice. It's like having a specialist of music who can give you a perspective to how you can design the sound. You can have an approach of a design of the sound of the film before you approach your people who are doing a score, people who are writing songs for you, and that might make your film sound different and interesting. But it depends on project to project, depends on person to person, depends on director to director. Films are a medium led by the director, and if it helps the director tell the story better, then it's a good choice, I guess. Thank you so much for asking those questions. It was really interesting and special to answer those questions for you. And if you have more questions, then drop them in the comment, and maybe I'll try and type a few answers out. I'm Ankur Tewari and signing out, and thank you Red Sparrow for doing this.